She smiles so the world doesn't worry, but inside, she's carrying battles no one sees. You'd never know it by looking at her. Her laugh is genuine, her words are kind, and her presence feels warm. She lights up a room, carries conversations with grace, and never lets on that something might be wrong. But behind that smile is a woman silently falling apart. Not because she's weak, not because she wants attention, but because she's mastered the art of hiding her pain. Every morning, she wakes up and puts on that familiar expression not of joy, but of armor. It's the mask she wears to convince the world, and sometimes even herself, that she's okay. She does it because people depend on her. She's the one who listens when others need to talk, the one who keeps everything together when things start falling apart. And so, she feels she has no right to break. She feels that if she lets even one crack show, the entire structure will collapse. That's the kind of pressure she's under. You see, her smile isn't just a facial expression. It's a defense mechanism. It shields her from questions she doesn't have the energy to answer. It protects her from the judgment she fears she'd face if she ever admitted, "I'm not okay." The truth is, most people never take the time to look beyond her smile. They assume that if she's smiling, laughing, and showing up, she must be fine. But emotional pain doesn't always show itself in obvious ways. It hides in the moments between conversations, in the silence after everyone's gone, in the quiet drive home when the tears finally come. She's learned to cry when no one's watching, to grieve while doing the dishes, to fall apart in the middle of folding laundry. These are the moments where her strength shows, not because she doesn't feel pain, but because she carries it alone. And still, she pushes through. She goes to work, shows up for her family, meets her deadlines, cooks the meals, keeps the house running, remembers birthdays, checks in on friends, and keeps smiling through it all. Most people don't realize the energy it takes to keep pretending everything is fine when your heart feels like it's slowly breaking. Most don't understand the exhaustion of holding it all in. The emotional weight, the suppressed tears, the anxiety that builds like a storm inside her, it's all there, hidden just beneath the surface. There are days she wants to scream, days she wants to disappear just long enough to catch her breath. But she doesn't, because she doesn't want to be seen as weak, because she doesn't want to burden anyone, because somewhere along the line, she was taught that her pain was less important than everyone else's comfort. So she tucks it away. She tells herself to be grateful, to be strong, to keep going, and she does. Not because she wants to, but because she thinks she has to. But even the strongest people have limits. Even the brightest smiles can hide the darkest storms. And while she may not say it out loud, she wishes someone would notice. Not because she wants sympathy, but because she wants to feel seen. She wants someone to look past the surface and say, "You don't have to pretend with me." She wants someone to recognize the weight she's carrying, not to fix it, but just to acknowledge it. Because sometimes, the greatest healing begins with simply being understood. Behind her smile is a woman who's tired of pretending, tired of being strong, tired of holding it all in. She doesn't need grand gestures. She doesn't need someone to save her. She just needs a moment to be human. A moment where she can drop the mask and let someone see her pain without fear of being judged. That kind of moment is rare. But when it happens, it's everything. So if you know a woman who always seems fine, who's always smiling, always checking on others, take a moment to check on her. Not with a casual "how are you?" but with genuine presence. Let her know it's okay to not be okay, because even the ones who seem the strongest are often the ones silently falling apart. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply notice. She's the one everyone turns to when things go wrong. The friend who listens without interrupting, the daughter who carries her parents' hopes, the mother who holds the family together, the partner who remains steady even when the ground beneath her starts to crack. She's the one who shows up when others fall, the one who wipes away tears that aren't her own. And yet, when it's her heart that's breaking, when her soul is tired and her mind is overwhelmed, no one seems to notice. No one asks if she's okay, not because they don't care, but because they've grown so used to her strength that they forget she's human too. She's the backbone, even when she's breaking. That's the silent role she plays in so many lives. She feels the weight of everyone's struggles, carries burdens that aren't hers, and does so without complaint. And because she rarely shows cracks, people assume she doesn't have them. They see the strength, the patience, the smile, and they think she can handle it. But what they don't see is how often she cries behind closed doors. They don't see the nights she lies awake, wondering how much longer she can keep this up. The truth is, being the strong one is a lonely place. There's an unspoken expectation that she'll always be okay, always be available, always be resilient. So when she starts to slip, when the pressure becomes too much, she doesn't feel like she has permission to fall apart. She tells herself she has to keep it together for her children, her parents, her friends, her colleagues. She convinces herself that her feelings can wait, that her needs aren't urgent, that rest is a luxury she can't afford. And so, she keeps going, even as the cracks deepen beneath the surface. The world celebrates her strength, but often forgets the cost of it. She's the one who holds her family during a crisis, who juggles work and home with silent exhaustion. When someone else is hurting, she becomes their anchor. When someone else is confused, she becomes their guide. But when she's the one who's lost or hurting, there's no one there to carry her. She often doesn't even ask for help because she's been let down before. She's learned that vulnerability can be met with silence, that opening up sometimes means being dismissed or misunderstood. So she tucks her pain away, smiles through it, and tells herself to be stronger. It's not that she wants to be invisible. It's that her strength has made her so. People have grown so used to her doing everything, being everything, that they forget she needs support too. And what's heartbreaking is that when she finally does reach out, it often comes as a whisper, not a scream. A subtle, quiet plea hidden in the words, "I'm just tired," or "I'm fine." But most don't hear it. Most don't look closely enough to see the sorrow behind her eyes. And so, she retreats further into herself, reinforcing the belief that she can only depend on her own strength. Still, she keeps showing up, not because she's unbreakable, but because she believes others need her. That belief fuels her, but it also drains her. And over time, carrying everyone else while neglecting her own heart begins to wear her down. She becomes a silent warrior, brave but bruised, steady but scarred. And though the world may never see her struggle, it lives inside her every day. She's not asking for applause. She's not looking for recognition. What she truly needs is a safe space to exhale. To be seen, to be held without needing to explain herself, to be reminded that her strength is admirable, but her softness, her pain, her moments of doubt, they matter too. Because even the strongest woman needs someone to lean on. Even she deserves to rest. So when you see her standing tall, don't forget to ask how she's really doing. Don't wait for her to break before you notice the burden she carries. Behind that quiet strength is a woman who gives everything and asks for nothing. And sometimes, all she needs is for someone to care enough to ask. She was taught from a young age that being strong meant staying silent, that vulnerability was a weakness, and emotions were to be managed quietly behind closed doors. So she learned early how to suppress her feelings, how to smile when she wanted to cry, how to nod in agreement even when she was breaking inside. Society told her, in 1,000 subtle ways, that her worth was tied to how much she could endure without complaining. And so, she became a master at holding it all in. As she grew older, those unspoken expectations only deepened. She became the one people admired not for her joy, but for her resilience. They praised how much she could handle, how calm she remained under pressure, how she always showed up no matter what. They called her strong, dependable, selfless, but no one stopped to ask what it was costing her. No one asked what it felt like to carry the weight of being the strong one every single day. The truth is, those expectations don't just shape her behavior, they begin to shape her identity. She starts to believe that her feelings are burdens, that her tears would make others uncomfortable, that asking for help would be seen as failure. And so, she doesn't, even when her heart feels like it's caving in, even when the pressure becomes too much, she stays quiet. She convinces herself that other people have it worse, that she doesn't have the right to fall apart. That's what the world taught her. Be strong, keep going, don't break, and she does exactly that. She carries her pain in silence because every time she's let it out, someone's told her to toughen up. She's heard it too many times. Don't be so sensitive. You're overreacting. Just get through it. So now she internalizes everything. She smiles when she feels empty. She gives when she has nothing left. And she comforts others even when she's the one in desperate need of comfort. It's not that she doesn't want to be honest about how she feels. It's that she no longer believes she'll be met with understanding if she does. There's a quiet kind of suffering that comes from constantly trying to meet impossible expectations. It's not just the pressure to keep everything together. It's the fear of what will happen if she lets anything fall apart. What if they stop respecting her? What if they call her dramatic? What if the people who rely on her decide she's no longer reliable? So she keeps playing the role. She keeps pretending she's okay, because she believes her value lies in her ability to endure. But inside, she's tired, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually. Tired of smiling through pain. Tired of pretending to be okay. Tired of feeling like her worth is measured by how much she can carry alone. And the saddest part is, she's not alone in this feeling, but she often believes she is. Because so many women are taught the same thing. Be everything for everyone, but don't ask for anything in return. Be strong, but don't show struggle. Be kind, but don't be needy. Be graceful, even when you're falling apart. This silent pressure is relentless. It turns everyday moments into acts of emotional labor, hiding the truth, managing perceptions, pretending to be fine when you're anything but. And eventually, it starts to break her down, not all at once, but slowly, over time. The smiles become harder to fake. The joy she once felt becomes harder to access, and though no one sees it, she's beginning to unravel inside. What she truly needs isn't perfection. It's permission. Permission to be honest, to feel what she feels without judgment, to stop performing strength and simply be human, because her pain is valid, her struggles are real. And being vulnerable doesn't make her any less strong. It makes her real, relatable, whole. The world needs to stop measuring women by how much they can take without falling apart. Because behind every strong woman is a person who deserves compassion, not just admiration. Sometimes the kindest thing we can do is stop expecting her to be unbreakable and just let her be. She's surrounded by people almost every day. Conversations flow, laughter echoes, and her presence is constant, warm, engaging, familiar. She answers messages, checks in on friends, attends family gatherings, and never seems to miss a moment. To everyone around her, she's connected. She seems full of life, but if you really paid attention, you'd see something deeper, something quieter, something most people miss. Because even in the middle of the noise, even while she's standing in a crowded room, she often feels completely alone. It's a kind of loneliness that doesn't come from being isolated physically. It comes from the feeling that no one truly sees her. Not the version she shows the world, but her, real, unfiltered. She's mastered the art of showing up, of being present, of making others feel valued. But inside, she aches for someone to look past the surface and ask, "How are you really doing?" Not out of habit, not casually, but because they truly want to know. Because they care enough to pause and stay for the answer. The loneliness she carries is silent, but it's heavy. It lives in the quiet moments when the crowd fades and the walls close in. It visits her in the late hours when her phone stops buzzing, when the laughter dies down, when the distractions disappear. That's when the emptiness creeps in. That's when her thoughts grow louder, and she remembers that while she's always there for everyone else, she's rarely asked how she's holding up. What hurts most is that this loneliness isn't always visible. People assume she's fine because she's social, because she's kind, because she's always smiling. But there's a difference between being surrounded and being understood. There's a difference between being talked to and being truly heard. She craves a connection that goes deeper than surface-level exchanges. She longs for someone to see through her automatic responses, to sense when she's struggling even if she doesn't say a word. Sometimes she drops small hints, subtle signals hidden in the way her tone changes, the way her eyes dim just slightly, or how her laugh doesn't quite reach her soul. But those hints often go unnoticed because people are used to her being okay. They don't realize that behind her effort to be cheerful is a deep desire for someone to break through her defenses, not to fix her, but simply to sit with her in the silence, to remind her she's not alone in the darkness. She wants to feel safe enough to let her guard down. She wants to be able to speak without filtering her pain, to make it easier for others to digest. She wants to feel like she matters, not for what she does or how she shows up, but for who she is underneath it all. And yet she keeps her guard up, not because she doesn't want connection, but because she's been disappointed too many times before. She's opened up only to be met with discomfort, with change in tone, with silence. So now, she protects herself the only way she knows how, by pretending she doesn't need anyone. But pretending doesn't erase the ache, it doesn't fill the void, it only makes the silence louder, and over time, that loneliness turns into exhaustion. Emotional exhaustion from always being on, from always pretending to be okay, from carrying the weight of unspoken pain. It's not that she doesn't have people around her. It's that she doesn't feel emotionally held by anyone. She's the safe space for everyone else, but who's the safe space for her? Real connection requires more than presence. It requires presence of heart. It requires people to ask the hard questions, to stay when things get messy, to listen without trying to fix. She doesn't need perfection. She doesn't need solutions. She just needs someone to reach into that silence and say, "I'm here. I see you. You're not invisible." Because even the strongest, most vibrant women can feel alone in a crowd. And sometimes the loneliest place in the world isn't a quiet room. It's a life where no one really knows what's going on behind your smile. She's the one who holds it together all day long. The one who manages to smile at work, show up for her loved ones, laugh at the right times, and offer her presence even when she feels absent within herself. No one sees her fall apart because she's learned how to make her pain invisible. It's not that she doesn't feel, it's that she feels everything too deeply and has been conditioned to keep it all inside. So when the day ends, when the noise dies down and the world stops looking, that's when she lets the tears fall. Quietly, alone. There's a certain ritual in the way she breaks. She doesn't collapse publicly. She waits. She waits until everyone's asleep, until the room is dark, until the only witness is the ceiling she stares at night after night. She cries into her pillow, wiping her tears before they can soak through. She covers her mouth, muffling the sound because she can't afford for anyone to hear. That silence isn't peace, it's pressure. It's the weight of everything she couldn't say during the day. It's the cost of always appearing okay. Crying in silence becomes her therapy, not because she chooses it, but because she believes it's her only option. She doesn't want to make others uncomfortable. She doesn't want to be seen as dramatic or weak or overly emotional. So she keeps her sadness behind closed doors, convincing herself that her pain should be private, and yet it grows. It builds quietly, like water behind a dam. Every disappointment, every fear, every moment of doubt and heartbreak adds to it. And eventually, even the strongest walls begin to crack. She's learned to heal in secret, too. The world taught her that healing should be quiet, respectable, dignified. So she doesn't scream, she doesn't rage, she doesn't fall apart in front of others, even when she desperately wants to. Instead, she reads the self-help books, she listens to the podcasts, she journals at 3 a.m., writing down thoughts she'll never say out loud. She stitches herself back together in silence, piece by fragile piece, all while pretending nothing ever came undone. But silence doesn't make pain disappear, it just hides it. It turns it inward, where it lingers like a dull ache, unspoken, unresolved, and unshared. And what's hardest about this kind of pain is how invisible it is to the outside world. People see her smile and assume she's healed. They see her functioning and assume she's fine. But functionality is not the same as peace. Smiling isn't the same as healing. And silence isn't the same as strength. What's even more heartbreaking is that she wishes she didn't have to do it all alone. She wishes she could cry on someone's shoulder without feeling like a burden. She wishes someone would notice the shift in her energy, the heaviness in her voice, the tiredness in her eyes. She wishes someone would say, "You don't have to hold this alone. I'm here." But wishes don't change reality. So she keeps carrying on, silent, composed, and unseen. This kind of strength is misunderstood. People think she's strong because she doesn't cry in public, because she doesn't explode or unravel in front of others. But her strength isn't in her silence, it's in her survival. It's in the way she keeps showing up, day after day, even when she's hurting. It's in the way she chooses love, kindness, and presence, even when she feels empty. That kind of strength is powerful, yes, but it's also exhausting, and it's okay to be tired of being strong. It's okay to want to be held, to be comforted, to be seen. It's okay to want to scream instead of whisper, to fall apart instead of holding it all in. She doesn't need to earn rest. She doesn't need to justify her pain. She deserves softness, care, and support just like anyone else. Because crying in silence shouldn't be the only way she gets to feel her emotions. Healing in secret shouldn't be the only option she's given. Even the woman who seems the strongest deserves a space where she doesn't have to pretend anymore. She's not weak. She's just tired of being strong. That simple truth is one most people overlook. They see her strength, her grace, the way she keeps going no matter what life throws at her, and they assume it comes easy. But what they don't see is the toll it takes. They don't see the battles she fights silently, the weight she carries without complaining, or the countless times she's held back tears because she didn't want to make anyone uncomfortable. They admire her, even applaud her, but they rarely ask themselves what it costs her to show up that way every day. She didn't choose this strength out of pride. She chose it because she had to. Life gave her no other option. Somewhere along the line, she realized that falling apart wasn't allowed, that if she crumbled, the people who depend on her would crumble too. So she held it together, not because she was fearless, but because fear was a luxury she couldn't afford. She became the reliable one, the steady one, the one who figured it out even when she had no idea how. But the truth is, strength doesn't mean the absence of pain. It means feeling every bit of it and continuing anyway. And she's done that over and over again. She's endured heartbreak while making others feel loved. She's felt alone while helping others feel connected. She's cried quietly so that others could laugh freely. That's what her strength has looked like: sacrifice, silence, and resilience. But deep down, she's tired, not weak tired. There's a difference. She's tired of pretending, tired of saying, "I'm fine," when her heart is aching, tired of being everyone's support system when no one seems to notice that she needs support too, tired of being praised for her strength when what she really needs is space to be soft. Because even warriors need a break. Even queens need to take off their crown and breathe. Even the strongest woman can only carry so much before the weight becomes unbearable. She wishes she could let her guard down just once without fear. She wishes she could be held the way she holds others. To speak her truth without apologizing for it, to feel without being judged for being too emotional or too sensitive. She doesn't need someone to rescue her. She's rescued herself enough times to know that she can survive. But surviving and healing are two different things. And now, she longs for more than just survival. She longs for peace. And the peace she craves isn't in grand gestures. It's in the quiet moments, the safety of being seen, the comfort of being understood, the freedom to say, "I'm not okay," without shame. She's spent so much time hiding her pain behind a smile that she's almost forgotten what it feels like to be vulnerable. But that vulnerability, that softness, that's where the real healing begins. Because strength isn't just about pushing through. It's also about knowing when to rest, when to feel, when to let go. She's starting to realize that it's okay to not have all the answers. It's okay to need help. It's okay to ask for it. And more than anything, it's okay to stop pretending she's invincible. She's not, she's human, and her humanity, her ability to feel deeply, to carry on despite it all, to break and still keep loving. That's what makes her powerful. The world needs to stop telling women that their worth is found in how much they can take without breaking. It's time to start honoring their softness as much as their strength, because being strong all the time isn't sustainable. And sometimes, the most courageous thing a woman can do is admit she's tired of being everything for everyone, tired of pretending, tired of carrying pain alone. Let her rest, let her breathe, let her be seen, not for the smile she wears to comfort others, but for the pain she hides when no one's looking. She's done enough, she's been strong long enough, and now she deserves to simply be